Welcome back, everyone. Today I decided, since we just hit the 5,000 subscriber mark, that we would redo my first ever video of how to tan a deer hide. So today that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take this old PA buck here and we're going to take his hide and tan it out just like the first ever video that I did. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, turn on those notifications so you know when I post videos. But thank you again. And let's jump right into it with what you're going to need to tan out this deer hide. Enjoy! Tanning hides is rather inexpensive. There's only a few materials you need. You'll probably already have some at home. And then those that you do need are still rather inexpensive. Your local Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods, Rural King, places like that will likely have what you need. If not, there's always Amazon. So the first step in tanning your hide is to flesh your hide. Personally, I like using good old-fashioned fleshing knife. I like it just because I can be specific with how much I'm pushing off, how much pressure I'm putting on. That way I know I'm not poking any holes through it. So I use a fleshing knife. You can use a power washer if you want. All you got to do is you just got to get that meat off. You got to get that fat off. So that's step one. You're also going to need just a skinning knife just to trim up the edges, get as much excess meat, excess fat off of the edges of the hide as you can. You just got to be careful not to poke holes in the hide. All there is to it. You're going to need just regular table salt. You can go to Aldi, Walmart, Kroger's, wherever you get your groceries. You're going to need, I'd say, at least 3 of these, probably 4 of these. These are, let's see, 1 pound, 10 ounces. So 3 or 4 table salt. You'll be good to go. Now, the formula I use for tanning my hides is this Deer Hunter and Trapper's hide tanning formula, which I personally do buy this off of Amazon. I will link this down in the description below. It's easy. They give you instructions on the back, so if you do forget where you're at, you can follow along, and you know, it's good stuff. So that's all you need really to tan out your hide. So let's jump right into the fleshing process and we'll go from there. Alright, so I pulled this hide out of the freezer yesterday morning. I let them thaw yesterday and today just here in the basement, so it's about 55, 60 degrees. So we'll pull him out here. So it ought to be pliable enough now that we can start working him. Yeah, he's moving pretty good. He's pretty much thawed. Alright, so the first thing I like to do is I like to take my fleshing beam here, which that's just the standard beam that you saw in the last video, and I take my hide and drape it right over the top of it here. If you don't have a fleshing beam, you can just lay this out on a piece of plywood or OSB, whatever you have to do to get all this membrane, meat, and fat off of the hide. And I'm going to take my fleshing knife and my skinning knife and just work as much of this off as possible. So I'll just pin it against my sternum here, and I just take my fleshing knife and just work it down, pushing as much of this stuff off as possible. Right here is what you want. If you see how it's starting to turn to this bluish white color after I got this fat cap off, that's what we're looking for along the whole hide. This is as good as it's going to get here. Alright, so now that we've decided that our hide is fleshed out good enough, it's ready for step 2. We want to do this immediately after we flesh out our hide, and that's going to be adding our table salt. And we're going to be as liberal as we can here. We're going to give, the first salt bath is going to be an entire 1 pound 10 ounce can of salt. So we're just going to take our salt and we're going to spread it out, just dump. We're just going to take the 2 tools that God gave us here, and we're gonna rub in all of this table salt. Just work it into our hide. There we go. Now, this is very important. We're gonna fold this guy skin on skin. One flip. Everyone knows the rules. Hair side out. We're gonna take him again. This time we're gonna take him. One more flip towards the tail. We'll have a little skin out here. Tuck that in. We want him to be skin on skin. One more, and that's it. So now we're here. We've got our hide folded over 2 or 3 times, 4 times, whatever it takes. We're gonna take them for the next 24 hours, stand them straight up in an empty bucket. A 5-gallon bucket works the best. And we're just gonna shove them into this bucket. 24 hours. So in 24 hours, we're gonna take them out of our handy dandy Rural King bucket here, and we're gonna salt them all over again. So I will see you guys in 24 hours. Alright, it's 24 hours later, so now we're going to take our hide out of its bucket. Shake him off. Alright, we're going to take him and we're going to re-salt him just like we did yesterday. Alright, so we're going to take him, take this salt and shake it off. So now all we're going to do is re-salt it. We're going to use a whole can. Now you're just going to rub it in. Every crease you see, make sure there's salt everywhere. We're going to come right back, set our bucket off. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did yesterday. We're going to fold them skin to skin. One big fold here. One more nice fold here. Grab our Rural King bucket and you're going right back in. 24 more hours. 24 hours, we'll pull him out, and the next step will be giving him a nice little bath. Alright, so it's been another 24 hours with the hide resting in the salt. So we're going to take our hide out of our bucket, and we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to unroll our hide. We're going to dust him off, get all this extra salt off, this old salt. Alright, so now that we got most of the salt off of our hide, now we're just going to take them over to the sink and we're going to wash them with Dawn dish soap. Alright, so you can see here all I did is I just took a piece of rope and strung it up to the ceiling here, to another point on the ceiling here. So I'm just going to take this hide and drape it over that line, again skin side out, and leave it dry overnight. So we can tell our hide's getting dry based on, you see how it's starting to turn white, but we see it's not white all over. It's, you know, just dry enough but not too dry. There's still a little pliability to it. We need that. Alright, so now all we're going to need here is a pair of gloves for our tanning solution. We don't want to get this on our hands directly. And we're going to use our hide tanning formula here, our Deer Hunters and Trappers hide tanning formula, the same stuff we used in the first video. And we're just going to apply, I got about half a bottle in here. We're going to take our formula here, crack it open, and we're just going to dump it all over this hide. So that's it. So now I'm just going to let this guy sit for about 24 hours or so. Let this solution really soak into him. And then tomorrow come down, and if the solution's taken like I expect it to, then we'll start stretching the hide and really breaking the hide, turning it into basically leather. So I'll check on it here, like I said, about 24 hours or so, and we'll see where we're at from there. So my dogs thought that it would be nice to turn my hide into a chew toy. So as you can see, they got a hold of the hide and chewed out some of the hair along the edges. So they enjoyed that. But anyways, it's been probably 2 days, a little over 2 days. After 24 hours, the hide wasn't quite right, so I left it lay down here for another day or so, and this is what we've got. This is what you'll have here. But your hide's going to turn this whitish yellow cream color here. This is exactly what you want. You want to get to this color here. You don't want it to dry out completely before your hide is completely set. That way we can work it. So that's the next thing we're going to do here, is we're going to work this hide to try to break it up and make it a little more pliable. And after we break our hide up and get it where we want it, we'll be completely done. So we're almost there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an old piece of wood. This is just an old piece of junk pallet wood here. And I'm just going to run it across our hide. Just a little pressure, not too much, just to get this hide started to loosen up here. So you can see after just a few minutes here, you can see how much it's really starting to break down. We're starting to get these white patches all over, which is perfect. So we're going to continue to work this for a couple of days. This isn't just a one-day thing. Once you start breaking it, you'll break it for the next 3 or 4 days. You can continue to stretch it or scrape it with a piece of wood, or take it over to a vise or wrap it around a tree. Whatever you have to do just to break this hide up the best you can to get it as pliable as you need it. Now for me, now that this is all chewed up, this is just going to become a wall hanger. So I don't need it extremely pliable. I'm almost to where I want it. I just want to stretch it out a little bit. But if you at home are working this, continue to work it. If you're using it for leather or something like that, continue to work it until you have all this material broken down and pliable enough to be able to sew it or what have you. So in the end, this is what we're left with, is our finished deer hide. Now again, if you work it more, it'll be more pliable. This is still fairly pliable. It does everything I need it to do. It's going to be hanging on a wall anyways, but it folds up nice. You know, it's not perfect. If you want to use this hide for chaps or some sort of garb or attire, you'll need it to be way more pliable than what mine is. But for the purpose that I'm using mine for, it works great. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. Send this link to someone, share this with somebody. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.